Hi, I'm Morgan Bodie. I will be presenting on Brazil today. So, to start off with the political setup of Brazil, they are a democracy and they function as a federal presidential constitutional republic, which means that they do elect a president every 4 years, which is similar to the US, and also they have the same executive, legislative, and judicial branches as the US does. So they are not involved in any major international conflict or any wars. They just have minor conflicts internally. As you can see in this picture beside me, there are some protests going on. And these are the internal conflicts that happen between the supporters of the former president and the current president now, and just rioting with some of those policies. But overall, there are not any major international conflicts. Brazil does a very good job at maintaining an open policy for foreign trade and all of that. So for low versus high context, Brazil is a high context culture, and they rely heavily on nonverbal communication, body language, tone of voice, and all of the things that you can't see, because they go a lot off of implied communication versus direct communication. They prioritize these strong relationships and trust before engaging in a business, so they want to have a personal connection, they want to get to know you, and it is very, very common to have these conversations before even getting into any business-related topics. A lot of these conversations are shared background knowledge and understandings of the cultural norms and the social context is oftentimes what these conversations have an assumed knowledge of, and I think that shows the implied versus direct contrast between a culture like Brazil. You can see on this photo to the right of me that everything is sort of intertwined. There's not necessarily any direct connections, rather everybody communicating with everybody, which very much describes the high context culture of Brazil. Next, for uncertainty avoidance, Brazil does have a score of 76, which is pretty high on the uncertainty avoidance scale. What does this mean for the people? So they have a strong need for these rules and the legal systems, and they prefer a structured system and clear rules. Oftentimes, if these rules are enforced and not followed, they have a saying that more rules or harsher consequences will be enforced. So overall, the need for these rules will end up keeping them safer and keeping their culture safe. And because of their ambiguity and their very risk-adverse country, they need a system that is more predictable. That is their main value within the uncertainty avoidance culture, is these guidelines should be explicit and detailed, and this helps to build trust and comfort in knowing that this uncertainty is at its lowest because of the guidelines and the rules and systems put in place, whether that's in the workplace with your employees or on a national level with government officials or just household rules. They don't like this unpredictability, and oftentimes these are the things that will help to follow that risk-adverse country culture. Next, I have individualism versus collectivism. So Brazil scores a 36 on this, meaning that they are a high collectivism country, and this is pretty similar to the low versus high context culture, where they value a relationship and trust first over any business, over a monetary value, over individualism. Their main level of importance is going to come from strong family ties. And oftentimes their business success is very relationship driven, meaning that these relationships are highly valued not only in your family life but in your business life too. It is very common for these individuals and these employees to be valued in terms of their group identity rather than their individual achievements, because this culture does not I guess show achievements for its individuals rather than just the group identity. That's going to be more praised rather than just the individuality of one person compared to the strong family ties or the business success from a group of people. Lastly, I have the business superstitions and the customs for the culture in Brazil. So the first one is that in Brazil, people always leave the house through the same door that they entered. It's bad luck to leave through another door, whether that is for leaving for a business meeting or leaving just for another day at school. They always leave through the same door just to start their day off right. The next one is the color purple. It is often associated with mourning and with death, so when they're giving any gifts or flowers or wrapping any gifts, they do not do that in purple because it is not a symbol of happiness or of gratitude. It unfortunately shows mourning and death. So the next one I have is leaving their backpacks, their handbags, their purses on the floor. This is a big no-go in Brazil. They think that this shows that you will lose money and you will be in a financial loss, whether that's the business, your household. They do not leave their handbags on the floor. This shows very bad luck. And then the last one I have is Brazil considers August a bad luck month. Weddings, businesses, negotiation, deals, all of these things are often avoided during the month of August because it is just considered a month of bad luck, and so they will either conduct business beforehand or they will hold it off until the next month. So that is all I have for this. Thank you so much.